storm, trying to conquer the world. I made it through the storm, trying to conquer the world. Coming from where I come from, they doubted me, but I came up. I made it through the storm, trying to conquer the world. I made it through the storm, trying to conquer the world.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey.
What's up? It's your girl, Mickey Truth, aka Mickey Facts, and I'm back with another video. As always, everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only. All information used is part of the Fair Use Act, and any conclusions that you come to is on you, not me. Let's get into the content. So today we're talking about 42 Dugg, aka Dion Marquise Hayes, which is a Detroit rapper signed to CMG. He got songs with Lil Baby, Future, Yo Gotti. The list goes on and on. Definitely check out any of his records if you're not familiar. In 2022, 42 Dugg was in the headlines for failing to appear to serve 6 months. So I had got wind that he was actually released sometime last year, right? But then I'm like, why I'm seeing all these music videos of his songs or features and he's not physically in the video? So I started looking, my spider senses start going off. I even found an article back in October 2022 where Lil Baby referred that he was in a halfway house. But I'm not showing anything backing that up. So I decided to pull the records for 42 Dugg, and this is what I found. So November 8th, 2021, 42 Dugg, aka Dion Marquise Hayes, was sentenced to 3 years probation and a $90,000 fine. Okay? That's what he had to do. And this is according to the federal documents that I was able to obtain. Now, it then goes to say on December 10th, 2021, a violation report was submitted to the court. A hearing was held February 1st, 2022, where the court did order the defendant's supervised release be revoked for a term of 6 months in custody, to be followed by 2 years supervised release with all original conditions, okay? The court ordered the defendant to participate in a 90-day inpatient treatment program as an additional condition of the supervised release. The government does not oppose the defendant remaining on release until notified of a surrender date. Okay, this is where things get a little tricky here. According to federal docs, it was then ordered that the defendant, who is 42 Dugg, of course, was directed to report to FCI McDowell Camp at noon on April 12, 2022 to begin service of sentence. Now, fast forward, he did not report as directed, and he was ordered to have to surrender himself for failure to appear. According to federal docs, 42 Dugg was apprehended back on May 4, 2022, and took into custody. Now, a couple things went on, okay? If you do the math, if he still had to do the 6 months, he would have got out, say, about November of last year? Well, as I showed y'all in the video, he was not released in November of last year, and I really wanted to know why. So let's start from the time he was apprehended. So a warrant was provided on April 12th for his arrest, as I already stated. Then it went on to give a little details on why he didn't appear, which he stated it was because of scheduling issues, where I don't understand how is it because of scheduling issues when you're supposed to go to jail. You feel me? What kind of issue did you provide? Now, this is what I thought was intriguing, right? On the day he was arrested, which was May 4th, 2022, he also filed with the United States government a motion. Now, this is handwritten. In my opinion, right? It was printed off the computer and he filled in the blanks with his name. That's just my opinion, okay? Now, on this it says, affidavit for negative government coupled with insurance. Okay. And then it goes, well, oh, that's what he wrote, but it's affidavit of Pacific negative avertment coupled with insurance. Okay. What that means, I have no idea. But I'm going to definitely put the form or the document in the video. And it basically just states that Deon Hayes, aka 42 Dugg, is stating that installation of trespassing technology resulting from and arising from the case number was inaccurate or wasn't supposed to happen, right? So basically he was saying that this probation or the reason why he had to turn himself in was not valid. Now, I don't understand how that was going to fly and not having no legal intel or legal nothing. But if you took a plea, okay, and you pleaded to this and that, how are you now going to go back and say that wasn't valid? You took the plea, sir. Like, come on, 42 Dugg. Like, and why did you file this yourself? Like, come on. You couldn't call Yo Gotti and be like, yo, bruh, I'm in a pickle. Come help me, okay? Maybe not. I don't know. But that's one of 3 documents that was handwritten, okay, by the defendant, a.k.a. 42 Dugg, a.k.a. Deon Marquise Hayes. Now, another document that I found here with some notes that was on, September 19, 2022, states that both parties appeared before the court for pretrial conference. Defendant counsel requested additional time to work through the case. The court ordered that the defendant shall have an additional 30 days in which to file pretrial motions. The parties will reconvene at a later time for the pretrial conference. Notice to follow. Then it says, counsel for defendant advised the court that defendant is being housed at USP Atlanta in the whole solitary confinement, which makes attorney/client communication difficult. Counsel requested that the defendant be moved to Robert A. Dayton detention facility. The court advised that it had limited control over prison/holding facility protocols and policies, but it would have the U.S. Marshal look into the matter to ascertain what issues are regarding attorney-client visits, as well as any issues regarding defendant's safety. Don't know what that's all about, but I definitely found it interesting, because why is he being held in the hole? And for one, why is he being held in the hole in Atlanta? You get what I'm saying? You already know there's a lot going on down there in Atlanta. And I just don't understand, what does 42 Dugg have to do with it? And why is he being treated that way? Next document that I want to go over was filed on October 13th, 2022. And I'm not going to read it verbatim. So it breaks down here that says that according to this document, Mr. Hayes appeared before a judge on May 5th, 2022. It was granted $10,000 signature bond. That order was received and entered by the court on May 9th, 2022. It then goes to say at the time of the bond order for Mr. Hayes was entered, he was serving a sentence from a probation situation on February 3rd, 2022, where he was sentenced to serve 6 months in custody, which we already stated he failed to surrender at that time. It then goes to say that Mr. Hayes' sentence on case, then it gives the case number, is set to expire on October 14, 2022. Counsel for Mr. Hayes was informed that on the expiration of his BOP sentence, which is the federal sentence, on October 14, 2022, he would not be released pursuant to the bond order and would instead be transferred into U.S. Marshal custody, okay? A representative from the U.S. Marshals informed undersigned counsel that Mr. Hayes will not be released on the bond order. And I believe that may be where Lil Baby was getting his information from. So I guess they were blindsided by the fact that he would not be released. It then goes to say it is unclear to undersign counsel why the bond order at ECF Doc 12 is not being recognized and applied by the U.S. Marshal, as the order was signed on May 5th, 2022 and filed into this case on May 9th, 2022. Further, the government has never moved for the detention of Mr. Hayes in this case. Therefore, Mr. Hayes respectfully requests that the motion be granted and the court take whatever steps necessary for Mr. Hayes to be released pursuant to the bond order at ECF Doc 12. Okay? Now, I will tell you that also the most recent situation on this case, and I'm clicking through because I got so many tabs open here. So it continues to have different motions that have been filed, but it still shows that 42 Dugg is being held by the federal government. Now, on December 7th, the defendant is ordered to notify the court within 30 days of today's date as to whether he will proceed to trial or enter a guilty plea. It then says if no response is filed, the court will schedule for this pretrial conference and jury trial. Okay. It is further ordered that the time between the entry date of this order and when a written response to this order is received by the court shall be excluded from the Speedy Trial Act calculations. Okay, so with that being said, does 42 Dugg plan to go to trial or will he plead out? As of today, January 17th, at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time, there has not been any updated documents to this case, meaning it has not been any scheduled hearing and it has not been any plea agreement or plea information entered into the database for public view. Okay, so I'm going to put a pin in this situation and just say, with conclusion, as of now, 42 Dugg is being held, has not been released, has not been entered into a halfway house as far as the public database shows. And at any time, we should get an update because 30 days from December 7th definitely has passed. So something should be going on. And while I'm recording, I did verify if 42 Dugg is still being shown in the federal inmate search database, and he is. So as of now, he has not been released. With that, I'm going to close out. I'll continue to provide updates as needed on this case and other cases, as you already know. And yes, for those that's asking, I am doing part 2 to XXX murder case. And the trial actually begins tomorrow, and I will be covering that also. So with that, y'all, like, comment, share, subscribe, and holler at your girl.
Good reporting ass Mickey.
We love you, Mickey.